Good morning and welcome to the Seneca County Commissioner meeting. It is August 31st, 10 a.m. and we'll begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, short prayer. We God, look over this meeting, that we commissioners do our job representing the county and the citizens. Special thoughts go out to the Scott Daniel family. Just a great person, served the city schools for years. And we ask that you bless his family, Ben Richards, superintendent, and everybody out at Tiffin City Schools. Amen. Roll call.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Here.
Commissioner Schuff,
Here.
Commissioner Frankert,
Here. So at this time, we'll accept a motion to approve the digital audio recording of our prior board session, which was October 24th, 10 a.m.
So move. Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Frankert,
Yes.
Commissioner Schuff,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso.
Yes. So first on the agenda, we have a representative from the Attorney General's office. First thing I'm thinking is, did we do anything wrong? No? Okay,
That is very common. When I
Kim
introduce
is-
myself, people want to step away slowly.
so periodically, we have our state reps come in, or representatives for them come in, and
Yep.
welcome. We thank
Thank
you
you very
for
much.
taking the time to come in.
Sure. Thank you very much. I'm Kim Priestap. I am the Northwest Regional Director for Attorney General Dave Yost. My job is outreach, so I have 15 counties, with Seneca County being one of them, and so my job is to talk to, for example, the attorney, all of the elected officials, and also law enforcement, veterans commissions, nonprofits, just to kind of let them know what our office does, any updates that we have. Of course, law enforcement is a very big area for us because the Attorney General is the top law enforcement officer in the state. And so he's in charge of training through OPATA and also through APOTSI, and that's also one of the things, one of the updates I'll be talking to you about as well. But, and so I come in periodically so I can let the commissioners know what I'm doing in the county, who I'm talking to, because it's in their interest. They'd like to know what I'm doing, so that way they are also aware, and then you're also up to date as well. But first off, to kind of, the most recent thing that we had going on was about 2 weeks ago tomorrow, my section chief and I were in town in Tiffin speaking with Mircea Handrew, who is, as you, of course, I think everybody knows Mircea. He
That
is
was
an
on a
incredible
Friday,
person, yeah.
Because I was invited.
That's right, and you were
I
unable to
couldn't
make it,
yeah,
right?
So
Yeah.
thank you, yeah.
Oh,
I get
absolutely.
to report now.
Absolutely, and it was a fantastic meeting. We met with Mircea, Sheriff Stevens, the judge, Tara. I'm meeting with her actually right after this, so I can take a tour of her office and talk to her about things like that. And one of the reasons why we met was because, the Attorney General is now the president of the National Association of Attorneys General. And in that position, the president of that organization has an issue that he then pushes out to all the attorneys general throughout the country. And the issue that he is really championing this year is veterans issues. So, and one of the things that we are really discussing with law enforcement throughout the state is what's called a Veterans Response Program, that we are asking law enforcement agencies to really kind of pick up, because whenever there are veterans that are in crisis, the first people that tend to get called are police. And so asking our law enforcement to perhaps put together a program that can help those veterans who are in crisis, and then help them get connected to those particular services that they need, because a lot of services, they're siloed, they don't know about each other. And so if we can put together a team that helps with that, which Mircea has already done a beautiful job with that, because you've got your mobile crisis unit led by Dave Olds, And another reason why I wanted Carrie up was that because I wanted her to see the program that you guys have going.
Is
because-
Wyandotte County one of yours?
Yes.
Okay, so
And yeah,
Dave's down there,
absolutely,
yeah.
as is Sandusky and also Ottawa County.
Oh, perfect.
And so I wanted Carrie to see the program that you have together because I wanted her, you know, it's like if we could get this replicated throughout the state because nobody really does it as well as Mircha does and Dave Olds does. And so it's gotten to the point to where now people know to call the mobile crisis unit. And of course, they will serve everybody, but they include the veterans in that. And then they have a nonprofit called Dress Right Dress that's heavily involved in that. So it's just a great program. So that was one thing that, you know, I have been doing. And of course, I work with Sheriff Stevens. I also talk to Chief Pauly and of course the other law enforcement agencies that are in the county. And one of the things I've also been talking to them about is CPT updates. We have a new system for CPT reporting for our law enforcement. It's now online. It's working out much better. And also, next year we already have our CPT, or mandatory CPT for next year organized. It is going to be 24 hours again, but 8 hours mandatory. And we also have funding for CPT for the next 2 years, fully funded. And our goal is to have the continuing professional training for our law enforcement to be. We want a permanent funding. We want a permanent fund or set for that. So that gives us 2 more years to work on it because that's what we'd like to do because we want our law enforcement to have training and we want to make sure that we can reimburse that.
So is this is part of the budget?
Yep, it's
And then
next
2
2 years.
years, so
40
you're
million a
trying-
year. So
Yeah.
which is and
Is
so
that
we
what it was last budget and this budget?
it is for the next 2 years.
Okay.
And it didn't
Going
have it for
forward.
last year. Last
I
year it
see.
was limited. We can only fund 50% of the hourly. Next 2 years it's 100%, and that's what we want from here on out. So that way our law enforcement can have the best training.
Our county administrator liked that statement.
Yeah, you got it, 100%.
I saw her over there
Absolutely.
smiling.
Absolutely, we
Good
like
job.
that too.
We support that bill.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so our office is trying to get that permanently funded at 100%. So for next year, every single law enforcement officer in the state is going to will be required to take these certain 8 hours. And just so you know, we're going to be focusing on things such as also responding to mental health issues will be in there. Also de-escalation techniques will be in there. Marcy's Law training for victims' rights will be in there. And of course, NIBIN. I'm not sure if you're familiar with NIBIN.
And that-
NIBIN is a brand new program that Ohio has joined in with the ATF to help get the illegal guns off the streets. This is not about law-abiding gun owners. This is about getting the illegal guns and the trigger pullers off the street. And NIBIN stands for National Integrated Ballistics Information Network. And this will allow us to take the casings and test those casings. And because each individual gun actually has its own marking at the back of the casings, things like semi-automatic. As well as shotguns. And so we can test those. Anybody who followed the Alec Murdaugh case down in South Carolina, the South Carolina version of BCI used that same technology to confirm that the casings that were at the crime scene were identical to the casings in the family's personal gun range. That's how they were able to connect the firearms to Alec Murdaugh. So, and so when the expert witness came on and actually testified, it kind of had an audible gasp out of the people. Were you watching that? And so we now have that same technology. So one of the things I do is go around talking to our law enforcement and say, please submit all the evidence that you have to BCI, so that way we can have that tested. Also, what else I'm doing is I'm talking to also nonprofits in your county about this new training program that the AG has, because the Attorney General is also the regulator of nonprofits. And so as the regulator, he
Yes, I didn't
considers
know
it to
that.
be his responsibility. I'm sorry, what's
I
that?
did not know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep, and so as the regulator, he considers it to be his responsibility to make sure that nonprofits know what they're supposed to do. So he has a new training program out that's called Charitable University. And it's online, It is 4 20-minute videos that goes over what we call the 4 pillars of nonprofits, and that is board governance, finances and internal controls, record keeping and filing documents with the state, as well as the all-important fundraising. And it's all about the best practices, the newest regulations and rules, so that way nonprofits are always on top. And every time a board member takes one of these classes, they get a certificate. When all 4 classes are taken with 4 certificates, each board member who does that, and as well as a nonprofit on which he or she serves, goes right onto the AG's website. And it's a way of letting donors and the public know that these board members of these nonprofits, they know the latest rules and laws and best practices, and that donors can be comfortable donating to those nonprofits. Studies have shown that in Ohio, nonprofit demand is up 30 to 40%, and so we know how important nonprofits are in our communities, because they do things that governments and for-profit businesses cannot do. So we want them sustainable, we want them long-term, and in order to do that, they need to know what they're doing, so that way they don't get themselves in trouble. And since the AG's office is the investigative arm for nonprofits, you're getting the best information right straight from the horse's mouth. So that way you know that you can be confident that when you take these classes. We also offer them in person, so that's one thing. I've been talking to your community organizations, I've been talking to your chambers, because chambers also, it's basically a force multiplier, because they can go right out to other nonprofits that are members of these chambers, as well as your community foundations. And then they can host in-person training as well. So we have one person that travels around the state and does that. So, and so that's what I've been talking to people about.
So that'd be like your 501c3 organization.
You got
all them,
it.
and-
You got it. You got it. You got
I
it.
guess
That's
Absolutely.
good, because a lot of times people have good intentions, but sometimes it's not.
And yet, absolutely, and
Or you have the other
especially
side where they.
right,
Scam
because
kids,
there's
so.
more to starting a nonprofit than people realize,
Yep.
and it takes a lot to do it, and you want to do it right, especially if there's a need that is being met within a society. You want to make sure that you're doing everything correctly, because we want these nonprofits around.
So the Secretary of State does the for-profit businesses.
They do both,
And then
nonprofit and for-profit, because when you set up a
do the
nonprofit, you have to
charter
register.
piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then the Attorney General,
You have got
Does
3
what?
steps.
Yeah, okay.
You have to register with Secretary of State.
Yeah.
You must go through the IRS and get your 501c3 tax exempt status,
Yeah.
and then you must register with the Attorney General's office.
yeah,
And those are the things. And then also, you can search on our website for not only nonprofits, but for-profit businesses, for anybody that might have had complaints. So that way you can get a status. If anybody has complained to our office, you can check that as well on our website. Also, what I've been talking to about, as I'm sure you all know, because you have gotten the funds, is the AG's lawsuits against the opioid producers as well as the distributors, which are the pharmacies. We have, the Attorney General has recently, over the past few months, has also won a second lawsuit along with a bunch of other attorneys general throughout the country, and that one was like $1.6 billion, and Ohio got like $567 million of that. That will be coming soon. I don't know when. I've been asking, please give me a heads up so I can let my people know. But that will also be coming.
Mirsha is our representative.
Yep,
Did you know
absolutely
that?
he is.
Yeah.
He is, and which, by the way, the One Ohio Foundation now has its 105c3 or 501c3
Director.
status.
And
So
we
it's
have
now
it.
officially a nonprofit. It is working closer to getting its grants distributed. So that should be coming shortly too. And of course, with the memorandum of understanding that that those monies go toward the prevention as well as treatment for opioid addictions. I don't know if you knew that also the Attorney General has also received a $102 million settlement with the maker of the opioid addiction drug that's called Suboxone. That
Did you read that?
yeah.
I didn't read that.
That manufacturer, okay,
You see that?
basically Suboxone is that drug that people take to stop the cravings for opioids. It is vital for people who are trying to prevent themselves from falling back off the wagon. And this drug is what allows people to get their lives back, get their children back, get their jobs back. But the producer of Suboxone they were making changes that they used to try to get around the 7-year trademark or the 7-year patent, which nobody begrudges these companies from getting a profit for 7 years because they're the ones who put all the money in to produce these pharmaceuticals. Nobody begrudges them of that, but if they're trying to get around that law, and that's what they were doing, they were changing the delivery mechanism of this drug from under the tongue to a strip that would dissolve, and so they thought that would let them get a further
Lined up 7 years.
Exactly, and but that undermines the capability for customers to get a cheaper drug because then that prevents other companies from then creating a generic. And since so many people need this in order to live their lives and keep their kids and know that they have confidence that they're not going to fall and then become addicted, that was something. I mean, like 41 attorneys general joined AG with this one. That's how significant it was. So, so when you've got a company that's trying to get around the 7-year patent, with people trying to prevent themselves from being addicted, that's pretty bad. So then we've been involved in that as well. Also, OPATA. Let me go back to law enforcement real quick. Owens Community College is also now going to be the OPATA Regional Training Center for Northwest Ohio. So that way, that way law enforcement, if they want to do training with OPATA, which is the Ohio Peace Officer Training Academy, they won't have to go all the way down to London. They will have Owens Community College to do OPATA classes. And so that's, we've been trying to get one in Northwest Ohio for a couple of years, but we finally have one, so the Owens Community College is doing that. And, but yeah, so that's kind of the big stuff that we have going on, so any questions for me?
That's all you got going on?
It's a lot,
Oh,
yeah.
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so yeah,
Good
so
stuff.
lots of
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't aware that you were doing all that, so
Yeah,
I appreciate you
Sure,
sharing that
absolutely.
with us. Hopefully the public, we're recording
Yeah.
this. That's how we do our minutes now.
Yep.
And yeah, do you have any questions for us?
not really, just, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't think so, but I just wanted to make
Okay.
sure you guys knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
Keep
So, I
fighting
mean,
the good fight.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe in the
Thank you.
spring or something, stop by. Give us an
Absolutely.
update, check with Barb.
Absolutely, so I'll always give you updates about what I'm doing.
Okay.
Since I'm running around your county, you might want to know what I'm doing.
That's right, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, yeah,
Thank
very
you.
much, nice. yeah.
Thank you. You can sneak out, Kim, if you
I
want.
will do that, thanks.
And,
I'm going to head over and see Tara, so
Great.
thank you, everybody. You've all you'll have a good day. Thanks.
Any remarks from anybody? Move on. We're good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, commissioner reports. One of you.
Yep, I'll go ahead.
Bill?
So, Tuesday we had airport update, kind of went over all the grants we've received and looking down the road what some projects and stuff are that Brad and Andy came in along with Brian. What company is Stantec, yep.
Yeah, that's
So-
our consultant for the airport, county consultant.
So yeah, so Tony and I was in on that and very informative. That
it's pretty neat stuff,
neat
isn't it?
being kind of new in the seat here. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then yesterday went down to Mansfield for the Outstanding Senior Award. Leonard Skonecki from Fostoria received that, and it's amazing that so there's 5 or 6 counties that had everybody there, but it all seems like they all have kind of a unified voice, wanting to give back to the community and stuff on it. And just
All the ones that won.
yeah, it's great. One of the things that stood out with Leonard was that they talked about him going to a nursing home, and he'd read the Wall Street Journal for a guy all the way up to the guy's 100 years old and stuff on that. So he lost his sight, and every day he'd go and read the Wall Street Journal to him. So to me, that's one of the highlights of taking your time and doing that. And Mayor Keckler was there, and he says, you know, he says, I got around a lot of events. He says, every event I was at, that Leonard was there, and then above and beyond stuff that I was not even at. So
Well deserved.
what a great guy, and yeah. So he's also one of his. He plays a part of Governor Foster, and goes around and does that, different reenactments and stuff on it. So yeah, great guy for anybody that knows Leonard. I had the privilege of meeting him yesterday, so that was
Yeah,
good.
thanks for going down there for us.
Yeah,
That was,
that was good. Yeah.
that was good.
And then, well, you'll probably talk about the EMS last night. And then this morning had interviewed WTTF this morning with Lieutenant Burgos, State Highway Patrol. He kind of gave an update on what the, kind of with the school starting. And I didn't realize, but they, part of their duty is to kind of inspect school buses and stuff on that. And they do 200,000 buses a year on that. And I was like, I'm shocked at that. So yeah, it was amazing that they, I think he said since 2017 or 18 is kind of when they started that, and some of the reflective stuff that they've done on it's kind of been from their suggestions and stuff on that, and kind of gave an update on cell phone usage and all that stuff with it. So yeah, great interview this morning. So
You can hear that, Jimmy. How can people hear it? in the interview?
It's on our Facebook page,
On Facebook
and then
page,
if
yeah.
you follow WTTF on there, they'll have it, and you can go to WTTF.com as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he did a great job. I mean, that was just
See
kind
Fremont
of.
Post?
Yeah, he's been from Norwalk to Fremont. They're actually building a new post out
Yeah.
by the radio station out there. So yeah,
That's a
he's
good
kind
guess,
of leaning
yeah.
on that. So he's been in. He said 27 years he's been. So he's a lieutenant stuff on that. So he's great guy. So and then that's where we are today.
Good job. Thank you. Commish?
Yep. Had a Rotary meeting here this week, Tuesday. Last couple days been a little under the weather. I have a doctor's appointment here today, but yesterday we attended the EMS groundbreaking there for the Southeast out there in Bloom Township. Had the ceremony here with some of the different mayors, the trustees, everybody that was involved in bringing the EMS together. So I'll let you kind of touch more on that, but yeah, it's kind of a late week for me here this week.
Okay. Good. Just to circle back on the airport, so the citizens are aware of what's going on out there. So the county, the commissioners control the runway and everything around the airport. And we work with the FAA and ODOT on a constant basis on plan, improvements, everything from the runway to drainage to taxiway to lighting, and potentially an expansion of the runway. And we receive $150,000 a year, like all the airports get $150,000 a year. But we are now a regional airport, and Bill picked this up. I knew we were regional, but I didn't know we were regional at the expense of Sandusky County. So Sandusky County was a regional airport. Everyone knows where the new airport is. They built that to service Heinz and Whirlpool. That's a nice airport, but it doesn't have the traffic that we have here. And all you have to do is go out on 224 and you see planes all over. We get a lot of traffic in there because they repair propellers, they do engines, they do avionics, so there's a lot of planes coming in and out. So because of that status, we get an additional $292,000 a year. Well, that varies plus or minus a few thousand. So, what's that math? $440-some thousand we get that we can put back into our airport, basically on a 95%, on a 5% match. So the feds give us 90, we pick up 5% from ODOT, and then our cost to use that money is 5%. So anything with the FAA takes a lot of time, and usually it's a couple years out, so we're always meeting and kind of looking at things. We will have a formal meeting with the FAA. Barb's they're going to set that up probably in October. Yeah, and then we'll go over our revised 10-year plan. But so hats off to, congratulations to the county, and hats off to Newman's for doing a great job out there. We're now a regional airport. And if you really drive around and look at Crawford and Willard and all of them, Hancock's got a decent one, Marathon. But, you know, we have a really nice airport out there. I think it's under, talked about. I don't think we talked about it. That said, EMS was great. I don't want to add a lot. But Kayla, you did a nice report. Yeah, that was a very nice, had to read it twice, actually. I could tell you've been listening and you know, you really have done a good job of making an effort to understand it, because it's complicated sometimes. I thought your article was great. I mean, it was right on. So thank you for putting that in there. And yeah, it was fun last night. It was kind of rewarding. It was all about the, you know, the taxpayers and the people that live out there. They can now finally see a building going up that's going to serve them. So that's really rewarding. Jimmy and I were just talking this morning. When was our first meeting?
Yeah, I mean, technically, we brought together all the townships and villages in September of 2020.
Okay, so September 2020, we had our first meeting. And we're not quite September yet, but that's 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Do I need a calculator? So 3 years later, after 1 year, we had, what did you count, 20-some meetings?
Yeah, I think it was like 17 or 18, and we started on Zoom, you know,
And then
because
we
of the
just,
COVID
it's
stuff.
crazy, all the meetings
Yeah.
we've had, but, so, it's in the ground. Ben asked us how long it's gonna take. We think we're 240 days. That's the contract. So it'll be, after the first year, we'll be open, and we're planning a really nice ribbon cutting, and, we really wanna showcase that, because, we'll be moving forward with, the second one, report out to the commissioners, and then we'll go over to you. We did, Mike Steyer and I met with Damon. I think he sent an email to us. Did you get an email from Damon?
Derek.
David? Yeah, or Derek, I'm sorry. Yeah, Derek. I was thinking Mr. Aldis just.
Yeah, Dwayne was just.
Derek, did you get an email from him?
Not gotten anything
Okay.
from Derek yet.
It's coming. And so we basically got the township and myself, and we kind of went over with Derek, how it would look. He's gonna send it to us, and we can talk about it next meeting or something, try to get that accomplished. So, that's it. Over to you.
I only have a couple of things. I have requested from maintenance to get a couple of quotes on some painting and some repair of the exterior of the public safety building. I got those quotes. They're all under $25,000. I'm just kind of reviewing that, just kind of want to bring that to your attention. They both say if we move along with this, the possibility they may be able to still fit it in this year, but if not, it would be in the spring of next year. But they both reputable companies, so I just kind of want to read through and kind of make a more educated decision. I was just given this
Good.
Tuesday afternoon, so.
So everyone knows, why don't you give the report on that building, because you've been out there from the parking lot to the
Great.
pressure washing it, cleaning it, and pulling weeds, and
So what we're looking about doing is out to the
Yeah.
EMA building where the EMS is. When you go into the fairgrounds, they got a lot of nice looking buildings there, and it's just been, time to dress that up to make it, part of the background of the fairgrounds, and so that's one of the things we've been looking at is to kind of dress up, make it look nice. I mean, there's a week of the fair where there's 40,000 people go through there, and it sure would be nice to have that, looking nice, and and then now we have it open, and people come and go and stuff in there, so that's why we kind of looked at just dressing up, and we got some windows on order for it, kind of take the old air conditioners out, and kind of dress her up a little bit and make it look like a county building, and a lot of traffic in and out of there. So
there was a moment when I started, I think Commissioner Thomas was still here. We had a pretty serious discussion about maybe vacating that building and building something new, and then turning that building over to the fairgrounds. That's kind of a moving situation. We don't have any plans to do that right now. We're focused on our EMS buildings and on the ag building. And EMS has grown.
Yes.
We're obviously, we're growing EMS, we have a lot more employees, a lot more action out there. EMA just seems busier with the eclipse and all the stuff going on out there. So I think it's great that we're cleaning it up, we're gonna pressure wash and paint it. That falls under our authority.
And I think we talked about maybe
I think it's
even
gonna be
before
nice.
that,
Buy
have
some
them
time.
back and clean up the back area
Yeah.
there. They've got to have a schedule
Absolutely,
or
yeah,
something.
we're
there to-
working on that as well, trying to get that taken care of.
So we plan on staying there for a while. Sure,
Is that where
question.
John Sparr's office is?
Yeah.
Yes.
And forgot what the second question I was gonna ask, but, okay, that just, and the Farm Bureau, right?
The
That's-
Farm Bureau's got
separate.
their own
That's a
building.
separate building,
Yeah.
but that's where you're talking about.
Yeah, look,
Okay.
yep, the
Yeah.
black building right
Farm
there.
Bureau's here, then
Yeah, yeah.
that building, the county owns that
Right,
building. We call it
correct,
the
Civil Defense
Civil
Building.
Defense
the-
Building.
Safety
Public safety.
building.
public safety.
Civil defense is some time back with
I
Bill and
think
I, but
everybody
yeah, I
knows
understand.
I think when the
Civil
Soviet
Defense.
Union was around and the
Yeah.
nuclear attack was coming,
I just wanted to
we would all go
clarify-
there, yeah.
to clarify that. I was thinking I was right, but
Yeah.
Yep, so yeah. just
So that
back
building,
this up a little
it
bit.
looks a little rough and
Yeah.
needs a little
it's
attention.
it's
So
been
we're
a
gonna,
while since anything's been done to it, I think, if I'm not wrong. It's
Yeah.
been, when Dan was out there and
Yes.
prior to that, it was just kind of left go and,
So that's, yeah. wanna get
well,
things-
we've done some basics.
Yeah.
It's not real bad, but
No,
that's
no.
why we're staying there. We're
Yeah,
gonna,
Have you
Kind of-
talked about bringing those offices to the ground level? Because it's very unhandy to get to those offices.
we haven't, and that's a good question. We talked about bringing the upstairs down to the ground level. We haven't. I think the way to do that would be to just schedule the appointment on the ground level. Like if you were a guest, you
Right.
could just
That
say,
conference room that's
hey,
down there.
steps aren't good for me. Can we meet in that room on the conference room on the side, training room?
because you don't rent that out anymore, correct?
Correct.
You don't rent that out anymore, correct?
You are
That is not-
correct.
That's
It does
correct.
not get
That's
rented.
done,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's a secure facility. When COVID hit, we put all the
Sure.
locks and cameras and actually it's so secure that the voting machines are sitting there now.
Okay,
Because we're under construction, right, where the health department is and the regional planning and 160 plus, 180 voting machines were moved thanks to the work crew. And they're in that big room you're talking about. And from September 7th all the way up to the election, nobody can go in there. They test them, they do all kinds of stuff with them, so. But anyhow, that's the building we're talking about, just to digress
Yep.
for public information.
Thank you.
And Barb's on it.
The one
We'll
other-
wait on you when you come back.
The only other thing that I have was, I received a phone call from Soil and Water in regards to the motion that was approved last meeting about no wildlife hunting on county property. There were some concerns, and I just want to bring that to your attention. I know Soil and Water is here. If you guys would like to say anything or have questions, or feel free.
You got that phone call under control, because we're now talking about you.
It was one of the money due deals.
boy,
Yeah. Okay, so Barb, you take it from there and.
I guess I'm just.
Let's have a conversation.
Yeah, I guess we're just
Yeah.
having a conversation. I mean, the motion was passed as far as there was no hunting on county property. Soil and Water, again, called and said, we're not sure what all this means,
Got
and
it.
I guess that's where I'm gonna leave it up to
You
them.
want to start with it? You want me to start?
Yeah, because I think we have a couple different things going on here.
Yeah.
I think.
Let's
so-
try to break it down.
Right, and I think if you can help, we're talking about the ground that the county owns.
Okay.
Not this, because you guys have yours out there.
You own that
You own
ground.
that, you do your thing. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the woods that adjacent to the farmland that we, the commissioners,
Okay.
have. So
That's exactly what we wanted to hear. We
That's-
just wanted
yeah.
to
'Cause,
clarify.
no, you guys,
and figure out how that affects our hunts.
Right,
so-
no.
I
no,
actually
with the
think
handicap hunt and everything,
it's their
you guys-
decision, right?
Yeah,
It would
yeah.
be your decision.
Right.
Okay.
We would
Full
never,
discretion.
Okay,
we would respect your decision.
Okay.
And
Right.
Isaac Wall, those guys, that's a
Yeah.
great.
The handicap
great,
hunt, you guys,
great,
phenomenal, so right, that's, yeah,
Phenomenal.
kids, youth, everything.
Brought your muscle behind you.
you did.
Yeah.
You
So
don't
while
really
you're here,
understand.
do you mind telling the public what you do? because it's a,
What I want you to understand is,
Yeah.
you don't know what that means to Soil and Water and us as the club, or, which I don't really call it a club, our conservation league, what it means to us, and Shirley's husband, late husband, Wayne, he,
Was he one of the
25
original ones?
Spearhead behind them.
25 years we've been doing this. Him and
Keith
Keith Owens had initially started it, you know, over the years.
Oh.
And it has grown and grown. We have probably between 17 and 22 hunters a year that come out there. We have 4 blinds. We take the individuals that, some of them are in wheelchairs, we load them up in a cart. I don't mean to say load as we wheel them into a cart,
Yeah.
haul them out to the hunting blinds, we put them in it. They are there for however long they can stand it, depending on the weather, if it's cold or whatever. Then if they want to come in, we have walkie-talkies, they radio us, we go out and pick them up, we bring them back in, they can warm up, we provide supper for them, or lunch for them during the lunchtime.
We do breakfast and lunch for
Steve
them.
also does breakfast
so
for them.
awesome.
And it just means so much to us, and I know, like I say, that Shirley and Wayne and all them, and I know Lee's a member out there, and I think you're a member, aren't you, Tyler? It's Isaac
I'm a
Walton.
member and have a key, but I haven't been out there for a while. I pay my dues.
You need to show up.
I know.
Probably hear us over there.
Yeah, just try, I'll surprise you.
But anyway, it's just important to us to hear what you're telling us, and I'm so glad that we are here in force, but I'm so glad that we got this straightened around and what we understand, what we're trying to do, and
Yeah.
what was brought up before. And I do understand where you guys are at as far as trying to limit some places of hunting because it does make it bad. But we also, as the Isaac Walton, and I'm sure that Soil and Water, we do have liability insurance for that. We make sure
Well,
that
you're well run.
we make sure that we are all responsible for what we're trying to do.
In 25 years, we've never had an accident other than dumping Gus out of his wheelchair. But that had nothing to do with hunting.
And probably half of the people that come out there to hunt the disabled people are veterans. So,
We've had POWs there.
I've seen pictures, big
Gus is-
smiles on their face.
Well, the guy was talking
Guys
about is
with-
Gus. He weighs about 400 pounds, but his legs are, he
Has
can't.
one leg.
One leg, they call him one
One
leg
leg,
Gus,
yeah.
but anyway, he weighs about
truly.
400 pounds and he's about that big around from the waist up. He's a
Uses
huge.
an extra large wheelchair.
We tipped him over and lost him and whatever, you know, but nothing happened to him. other than
Everybody
just,
laughed.
Oh
It was
shit, you
good.
know?
Well, he laid there on the ground laughing, wanting to know how we were gonna get him up.
Those are great memories.
Tells many, many jokes being there, and it's a great time for all. I mean, like I say, we have veterans there and people that are disabled that just, we had one young man that had multiple sclerosis, and it was all he could do his hands were just so big. But his dad hooked up a way that he could fire his shotgun.
He
to shoot.
looked through the scope with his phone.
And it,
Had an apparatus on his
Yeah,
phone
yeah.
that he could look on his phone, and he was what, 14?
Yeah,
13 or
yeah,
14?
yeah.
Our phones now.
And his dad had never thought that he'd be able to see his son be able to shoot, be able to harvest a deer. And it was kind of amazing. And he'd come to our meeting and his dad stood there in front of the crowd and cried because he said he'd never thought that he'd be able to see his son do that.
When
And it's
this
just amazing.
all started, before we ever started the hunts, we built a trailer and we invited a couple people in wheelchairs to come and see how this was gonna work. Well, the one lady that we took a ride, the tears were running down her face. And we asked her, does it bother you? She said, I haven't been out in the woods like this in 20 years.
Yeah.
He said, I'm just so happy
Can
that
you believe that? How cool that is? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, no, thank you.
Shirley, you want to say anything?
It's
Yeah.
dear to our
You got a lot
heart.
of memories, right?
Does the Parks Department come under you guys?
No, they're separate. We
Okay,
kinda-
because there's a couple public hunting areas in the park system that,
Yeah, yes, there are. Over there by Steyer's, one of
well,
them.
I live right across at the end of Evans Bridge. So.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yep.
Cool.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we're good? You guys get your, everybody happy?
Thanks for all you guys do.
Yeah, appreciate
Yeah,
it.
it was worth you coming in because we wanted to hear your story anyhow. So
And we
thank-
totally invite you guys during
Yes.
deer season to come out and see what we do.
That Monday through Friday, we're there from 4 o'clock in the morning till probably 4 or 5, 7 o'clock that night. And we spend a lot of time there.
We might get there in time for breakfast, you know.
Eat one correct breakfast.
I'll bring something out for you.
Lunch is pretty good too.
All right. well,
And we
thank
usually
you.
have several dozen homemade cookies too.
Oh, my
Oh,
gosh.
yeah.
That is,
Pheasants Forever brings us a meal out sometimes.
It's so
It's
bad.
probably one of the best things that the Isaac Walton does.
what's
I
your,
like
He's helping out with
when's
it.
hunting season start this year? Do you have a date? It's coming.
First week of December.
Yeah.
I can't tell you exact
Yeah, I
date.
can't.
Yeah.
It comes in
Thanksgiving.
Week after
the Monday after Thanksgiving. And
yeah.
Yeah, it's always the Monday after Thanksgiving starts.
How about in December after that, you guys come in, just give us an update, how it went, how many
Oh,
you had
we'll be
there,
glad
if there's any
to.
deer harvested.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear that, yeah, that'd be great.
And we usually have a meeting right afterwards, and a lot of times the guys that came to the hunts come to the meeting.
Sure.
Just to tell everybody how appreciative they are of doing it.
Great.
Just to toot the Isaac Walton horns, we have a meeting the third Tuesday of every month. Normally, we have a meal like at 6:30, 7:30 our meeting starts, and we kind of, have a BS session from 6:30 to 7:30. Then we tend to our business for the meeting, and then we continue from there, and it's just a lot of camaraderie. It really is. I don't know how many of you are really familiar with out there at Isaac Walton, but it's a great place. We have a pond and a shooting range below for long rifles, and then we have a shooting range above, and every
The
Wednesday.
sheriff's department,
Oh, yeah.
BCI,
They all-
Stephen Police all use
They
our
all
range.
come out there and train. It's a good fit for everybody. They use the facilities, and we're glad to help them out because they protect us. So it's important for all.
You guys are welcome to come to
Thank
meeting
you.
anytime,
Oh,
even
that's
if it's
awesome.
not campaign season.
I got one other thing to add as far as we're blowing our horn for the Isaac Walton and that. And I supposedly some of you know aware of it, but we work a program with the School of Opportunity, with the guys and gals there, that they come out to the club and they spend a half a day out there fishing. And so a lot of times we serve them pizza and that stuff. And when it originally started out about 6 years ago, we had about 10 people involved in it. We're up to about 30 people now coming. We had to divide them up into 5 different groups. And they come out usually like 3 times a month. And we basically bait hooks and take fish off.
They catch them.
There's a lot of pictures on our website of the group and stuff that comes out there. And that's another really rewarding program that we do through the Isaac Walton there.
Well, not only that, but the city has what is that?
City Fishing Derby.
Well, the fishing, they do a fishing derby there. We do National Hunting and Fishing Day, which is open to kids.
That's next month.
And what's the park, or not parks, but the
They do
camp?
an adventure day like a school
Yeah.
thing through the Parks Department. They bring about
Anything
60
we
kids out
can do
there.
with kids, because they're our future.
And we get supplemented through the ODNR. We submit for grants every year, which we have to match funds and that with them. And so we get money for the Disability Deer Hunt, putting on the National Hunting Fishing Day, and the fishing and archery. We do archery and rifle during the summertime programs for youth and adult. So we're big active in the community, and we enjoy it as much as they do.
You guys do a great job out there, a lot of events.
Jimmy, anything?
One thought, Barb might be able to give better direction on this, but you should probably amend your resolution from last week and clarify what you're saying. You know what I mean?
That's what brought us here.
Motion
Let's
that
make it
was-
more clear,
Yeah,
because
because
it's kind of like,
the motion that was
Good.
approved was no wildlife hunting on county property. So
Okay, so you
it
wanna
needs-
clean that
it would
up?
need to be amended.
So I'll make a motion, we amend the resolution, and that Barb will, you're gonna present the final one to us?
I'll
or-
present the final one
for
for
next week?
approval for next
That's a
week.
Second,
Second.
okay. Roll call?
Commissioner Prankert, sorry.
Yes.
Commissioner Schuff,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso.
Yes. Thanks, Jimmy.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so we'll clean that up and we'll formalize it next week. And
As I said
we're good.
before, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm all over.
Back to commissioner reports, or administrative report.
I have nothing else.
You good? Any old business from anybody? We're jumping right back into new business.
New business, I have several supplemental appropriations, several from general fund. The treasurer's office is asking for $14,300 in salaries, $207.18 for Medicare, and $2,032 for OPERS. This is all for the treasurer out of general fund. Then I also have a salary request from Common Police 2 for $100.75. I also have additional requests for Common Pleas 2 for salaries, domestic relations in the amount of $33,938.30. I'll have to get back with them because they didn't include any kind of benefits, so that might be forthcoming because
You want to take that off or leave it in there?
we can leave it in. I can always ask them about the benefits next
The
week.
difference?
Yeah, they're, it's just gonna be additional supplemental appropriation probably. And then the other general fund I have is other expense for $500. This is for Commissioner's Office for memberships and other expenses for the remainder of the year. And then I have for the Child Support Enforcement Fund for Job and Family Services, $43,000 in contract services. This is for additional funding for Access Visitation Grant. This will be their expenses
Yeah.
to Patchwork's house.
Okay, make a motion to approve the sub-apps as presented.
Second?
Okay, discussion. Are you good with everything with the treasurer? Do we even need to talk about it?
No,
Have to
I'm good with it.
I'm good with it. So, anything else on there? Does anybody have anything? Okay, no discussion. Roll call.
Commissioner Frankert,
Yes.
Commissioner Schuff,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso.
Yes. Good job. Next.
The only resolution that I have is certifying unpaid assessments to the county auditor for collection under Ohio Revised Code Section 6117.02.
Make a motion, we approve this.
Second?
Any discussion?
I can tell you the calculation for the total outstanding is $41,470.06. That includes late fees and quarterly fees from all 5 sewer districts.
Well, it seems high, doesn't it? Is that like what it is normally? Is that for 1 year?
Yeah, this would be from September 1st of 2022 to August 22nd of 2023.
I mean, I know our sewer bills are high, but that seems high, doesn't it, Jim?
Charlene
Okay.
says that's about what it averages.
Okay, so then maybe it's just jumping out at it.
Yeah.
So what this is, so the public understands, this is an independent, this would be like Bascom and New Riggle, they have their own sewer plants, and there's a sewer district that does fall under the commissioners, but the citizens that are using the district have to pay for the use. And so this would be unpaid fees from residents. I think there's 420 to 450 doorknobs.
I think there's 427.
427. We have 427 doorknobs that are using our sewer, and this would be the late fees certified by the auditor for all those people in that district. So because it falls under us, we have to approve it. She calculated it and we're approving it, and then they will go back and collect the late fees.
Yeah, it'll get assessed on their property
assessment.
taxes.
Yeah. Okay, tough one. Good explanation. Roll call.
Commissioner Frankert,
Yes.
Commissioner Schuff,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso.
Yes.
That's all I have for resolutions.
Okay, nice. Anyone in the public like to speak that hasn't spoke? Paul, good to see you.
Thanks. Good to be here.
You calm down now after tax season? A little bit?
A little bit.
Okay. Mr. County Treasurer.
Never a dull moment.
And Lee.
Morning, Lee Wilkinson, running for mayor of Tiffin. Last weekend, I got a chance to go out to the fairgrounds and visit the EMA open house. It was very informative. I really enjoyed doing that. Campaign-wise, I've been to about over 1,500 houses in August. And we have about 5,000 more to go, just answering questions and hearing concerns.
6,500 homes.
What's the number one issue that you're hearing about from the constituents?
Number one issue is still housing.
Housing.
That's what they're hearing. Of course, everyone's a little concerned with all the road construction and everything, but people have worked their way around it and are figuring it out.
Adam has a big announcement about housing, don't you, Adam? How we have 1,000 new houses coming.
I wish. Desperately, I wish. If I could announce that, I'd be the happiest boy in this room. Very excited.
Anyone else? Mr. Brideball, anything happening?
Not today.
Okay, Jimmy, online, anybody?
Yeah, I don't see anything in the chat, but if you are on the Zoom call and you'd like to come forward, you can unmute your line now.
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
I believe our meeting schedule's normal, right? We don't have any dates that we're moving
No,
around or
everything,
doing anything?
next meeting is normal as far as.
We take them one at a time.
We're taking them one at a time right now.
Before we adjourn, I wondered if Barb ever used the mobile crisis management phone line in her job, because there seems to be a crisis pops up, pretty often around here.
Sometimes twice a
It's
day.
a different
right?
crisis. I'm just saying.
Commissioner's
Yeah.
office, that's only one story.
You do have a lifeline there if you absolutely need it. So. Okay, hearing no other comment, meeting adjourned.